All right, so the agenda for this Clay training is to show you how to use Clay's webhooks, and the project that I built for that is to extract data from an email whenever it arrives. So we're going to use Power Automate to do that. So anytime an email arrives, you can select the criteria for which email you want, and it's going to extract the data and send it into a Clay table. For this project, I'm going to show how I'm going to extract data from my newsletter, go to market with AI, and put it into a Clay table. So hope you enjoy. Thanks. Welcome to the Clay training number 3. This one is, I would say, more intermediate. So if you did the first two, those were a little bit more just like learning how to use the basic Clay functionality. This one, I'm going to introduce Clay's webhooks and also Power Automate to show you how to connect different data sources and get that into Clay. And so the project that I created to show you this is I run a newsletter called Go to Market with AI. And so whenever I send that newsletter, I want to get the newsletter data into Clay so that I can extract some of the headlines and potentially use those headlines for social media posts, for example. So I'm going to go through all the steps to show you how to get the data from the newsletter into a Clay table. And so to do that, first let me just show you what it looks like at the end state like we did the last, and then I'll go through step by step on how to actually do it. And so what it looks like when we're done is we'll have these 4 steps in Power Automate that dictate that whenever an email arrives with certain criteria, we're going to take we're going there that's going to trigger the automation. Then we're going to convert it from HTML to text. Then we are going to convert it into something that will be readable and do a JSON format. And then we are going to do a HTTP post that is going to send the data from here into the Clay table. And to do that, we are going to create a Clay table that monitors webhooks, and then we'll basically connect the Power Automate to the webhook, and we'll extract the data from the email that goes out. And so actually, because the email is so long, it doesn't let me put it into one cell. So I use the formulas to split it out into each one. So that is what we are working towards today. I'm going to start with a fresh screen just to walk you through all the different steps. And yeah, I'm going to hop over now. When you log in to Power Automate, this is the home screen. And also worth mentioning that Power Automate is very similar to Zapier, so I'll probably do another video on Zapier. But I use Microsoft Outlook a lot, and so I'm using Power Automate this time, but I use Zapier for other stuff because it has some more native connectivity to some of the applications I use. But so we're using Power Automate, and we are going to go to Create, and we want to go to Build an Automated Cloud Flow. And so when you're building these Power Automate automations, they're based off triggers. And so you can see like some examples of triggers are when a new response to a survey is filled out or when a file is created. What we want is when an email arrives, and we want this Office 365 v3. And then we're just going to select the criteria. So to select the criteria, you just click on these advanced parameters. All I need to use for this particular project is the to and from. It's also very common if you want to use a subject filter, so anything with a certain subject, you could do that. But for now, we're just going to do the to and the from. And the to is going to be my newsletter email, my personal newsletter, and then my from is going to be the email that the newsletter gets sent from. And so that is hi@mail.gtmwithai.com. And that's all the criteria I need for this one. But again, you get more use. You can set different criteria. And then we are going to take this and we are going to do add action. And we want to take the HTML email to text. There we go. And then all we're going to do is just call the body of the email into this HTML to text. So how we do that in Power Automate is just / and we select the body of the email. And then from there, we want to get the text into a format that we can use for JSON. And so we are going to use compose and click there. And then here, we again are just going to call back to the previous one, insert dynamic content. And then we want the play text content. And then we're going to do an HTTP. And so there's 3 options. We just want the HTTP. And then we are doing a post. So post just means we're going to send. Here we want content, just the content header. Here, since we're using JSON format, we're going to do application / JSON. And then for body, you just need this one kind of code here that just calls the output from the previous one. So I'll just zoom in quick so you can see what you need to put in. Pretty straightforward. And then the last thing is we need to get the webhook from Clay. And so I'm going to hop over to Clay and create a table to connect this to. And for this one, we want to scroll down to monitor webhook. We're just going to take this URL over here, click on copy, and then go back here, and we put that URL right here. Right, and we're going to click on, we're going to call this GTM with AI, Power Automate, and we're going to save it. And now we are going to test it. So in order to test it, I'm just going to trigger a test email from my newsletter. And here we go. Okay, so everything looks good on this side. And then the next thing we want to see is, and it came through here, so we can see webhook received. And so we can see all the text that came through. And so at the beginning, I mentioned that the newsletter is actually a little bit too long. So if I go to create column like I normally would, we get this error message, exceeds the size limit. And so all I have to do is just break it up into just smaller size. So to that, we're just going to use formulas, and we could do get the first 500 words from and then we get the data. And so what I'm planning to do with this is to see if I can get some of the main pieces of information and isolate it into cells, and then use that information in Clay to send that potentially to social media like Twitter or LinkedIn. But that will be a project for a future video. But just to review everything that we learned here. So we learned how to create a flow in Power Automate so that when an email arrives, you can send all that data into Clay. This can also be very valuable if you get emails with structured data. In a past tutorial, if you saw that one, we were using the Clay Chrome extension to scrape data from the Product Hunt website. And so if you get like a email alert with like the top Product Hunt companies products launching, you could then take that email, extract it into Clay, and then set off some other automations once that email comes in. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of just using data that you get from email in this particular project. But we didn't just learn how to get email, we also learned how to use Clay's webhooks by creating a monitor webhook table that you can use for any other APIs and different applications. So I hope you found this training valuable. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, or if you do subscribe to the newsletter, you could just hit reply and let me know if you have any issues. But yeah, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching that video. I hope you found it useful. If you want to learn more about AI tools, AI workflows, AI agents, AI news, I run a newsletter called Go to Market with AI that has over 10,000 subscribers, and I encourage you to check it out. I'll put the link below. Thanks.